Member for Peace River South.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm pleased to rise in the House today and respond to the statement brought forward by the member opposite. For myself, for my 5 minutes, I'm going to spend a bit of time mostly talking about the process and the facts of the issue of what are taking place right now. And first of all, to the member, I don't think there's one person in this House that would argue the fact of the importance and the beauty that Shawnigan Lake has and what it brings to this province. And from a government, we're working hard to make sure that we address the concerns that the community and the citizens in that area have. In fact, the ministry has a legal obligation to consider applications that we get from companies when they want to treat and discharge contaminated soil. South Island Aggregate has two separate permitted areas. One area is permitted under the Ministry of Environment and can receive contaminated soil. The other is permitted by the Ministry of Energy and Mines, and that one actually cannot. Each parcel of land is permitted to receive soil at contaminant concentrations that are deemed safe for the specific use for that permit. Government staff actually has carried out robust testing on both permitted sites, and they did this on May 13th. They did this on the groundwater, the surface water, and the soil. The sediment and surface water was also tested for Shawnigan Creek. South Island Aggregate can continue receiving contaminated soil on the Ministry of Environment permitted site as long as they remain in compliance with the permit that they have. There is a process in place, and I'm sure that the member opposite is hoping that government obviously will follow that process, which is what we are doing. I'd like to remind the member opposite as well that the company, under these permits, is required to implement a comprehensive sampling program of the soil, of the groundwater, and the surface water. Now the ministry staff are in the process of amending the permit in accordance with the Environmental Appeal Board's direction that was outlined in the final decision that took place. This was not and is not a political decision. The Environmental Appeal Board is an independent tribunal, and as government, we respect that decision. The original decision to grant this permit was made by a statutory decision maker independent of a political process. And as part of the permit, the company must treat discharge water to meet the most stringent water standards here in British Columbia and are required to post monitoring information and the reports of this. The ministry also conducted inspections of the facility as recently as this April and will conduct additional inspections and monitoring to ensure the site is in compliance with this permit. The Environmental Appeal Board, on March 20th, their decision ruled in favour of Cobble Hill Holdings. That's formerly South Island Aggregates. But this came with a number of requirements for South Island Aggregates. I'll explain a couple of those. This included inclusion of local community representation on an advisory committee, prohibits blasting during cell liner installation, it prohibits the reuse of liners, the permanent roof must be constructed within 1 year, wheels of soil transport vehicles must be rinsed off before leaving the site, and monitoring of stream immediately after any storm event greater than a 1 in 200 year event. By implementing these regulations, we can ensure the quality of drinking water standards are met. On May 1st, the Ministry of Energy and Mines issued a stop work order to South Island Aggregate with respect to soil importation on Lot 21, which is covered under an Energy and Mines permit. South Island Aggregate was also required to forward all documentation relating to the importation of soil onto that site by May 8th, which, Honourable Speaker, they did. The Ministry of Environment permit also issued is currently in effect, and amendments to reflect the Environmental Appeal Board's decision will be completed in June. The conditions the Ministry of Environment has placed respond directly to the residents' concerns and that they have for any danger or risk to their drinking water. Decisions are made by technical staff and experts who have the knowledge on this subject. And in this case, the statutory decision makers conclude that the final permit will provide the necessary level of treatment and human health and environmental protection. This includes treating discharge water to BC drinking water standards and full transparency by posting the monitoring information and the reports for everyone to see. Our government, Honourable Speaker, is committed to conserving, to preserving and protecting the amazing and beautiful water resources that we have here in the province of British Columbia. And Honourable Speaker, Shawnigan Lake
Thank you,
is
member.
one of them. Thank you very much.